All right, we're gonna get started. Happy Thursday, folks. So today we are continuing the developing your tools piece. So we'll jump right into it. All right. So today we're going to focus on interviewing. Some of you may have heard me say that this morning. Interviewing is really your chance to explain your candidacy for the position and to connect those dots for the employer. It's not an oral exam, nor should it be, and it's not driven solely by the interviewer as well. Instead, it's an opportunity to discuss your qualifications and to paint a picture showing why you're the best fit for that position. All right, so there are three areas that most hiring managers are looking at. So they're trying to determine this about the candidate they're interviewing. Number one, do you have the skills and experience they're looking for? So do you meet the requirements? Do you have that experience they're seeking? Number two, are you teachable? So are you able to retain info? Are you adaptable, trainable? That's really in any job. And then number three, will you be a good addition to the team? So do you bring something, a different skill set that the team doesn't already have? And are you also going to just mesh well together with the team? Overall, it's about how good of a match or fit you are. And then you're also interviewing them. So it should feel good to you as well. So just a little bit about the behind the scenes process of an interview or hiring a candidate. So the hiring manager usually goes through an extensive process to hire a candidate. Most of this behind the scenes process is not obvious to us as applicants. So a lot of it we don't see. Try to be patient when you start to apply, and don't reach out just a day or two after. I say give it 2 weeks. Don't assume you'll hear back because you may not, and that is frustrating. And I think it's unprofessional, but it does happen. So especially now, there's a lot of turnover and a lot of changes. And I've heard of a lot of folks interviewing and then having that process either not even begin or maybe halted or changing throughout because of all the changes with COVID. So I would say make an Excel sheet, what I call a job tracker, and we do have that in the content library too, or I can send it your way. But basically some notes to keep track of where you apply, when you apply, and how far you've come in the process. Follow up professionally if you'd like 2 weeks later through email. If you don't hear anything, you can definitely shoot an email and say, I'm just trying to check on the status of my application, and they should give you an update. But definitely don't harass the employer. It's not going to get you anywhere. Sometimes you're just not going to hear back, and we do have to kind of accept that at some point and move on. So the timeline, usually they'll post a job description. So maybe they got notice from the last employee, they'll do the exit interview, and then they'll start going through benefits, payroll, and that paperwork. Receiving and reviewing the resumes. So they could have received up to or more than 100 on average. And then review and work with their position supervisor. And then they can have as many as 50 other candidates that they're interviewing at the same time. And the position supervisor could change what they're looking for. So, we've definitely done that in our office, changing, things around, seeing what would make the best fit to an addition to our team. Calls the first round of candidates for maybe a phone interview is usually first, and then scheduling that around meetings and appointments for a whole team of people. And then if you do make it to the second round, or bringing in those second folks for the in-person interview, and this is usually multiple people and multiple calendars again, multiple schedules involved. I've definitely had someone reach out and say, can you do this time? And then I'd had to change it, or they had to change it. So it definitely happens. And then checking references does take a little time as well. And then they finally do make the offer and pick a candidate. But even then, candidates can go with someone else or accept another offer. And then if someone does accept the offer, then they have to work with payroll for that final offer, the negotiations, if that happens. which hopefully it always does. And then any new hire paperwork, and then backup candidates if they weren't accepting the job. So that's just a little bit about that process. And so the interview process, when you actually go in, should look like this. So definitely do your research on the company beforehand, check out their mission and vision, check out their website, their team. Sometimes the staff is listed on there, and what the company is all about. That's really what you're looking for. Review the job description and prep using that. So think about the interview questions or those skills that are listed on there that you want to bring up. Always arrive early, dress professionally for the interview. Of course, unless it's over the phone, that's fine. But if it is like a Zoom call or something, I still expect someone to dress professionally. In person, this has changed a little bit, but you used to provide a nice firm handshake. Some people might do the elbow bump. Kind of, you could even ask, is it okay to shake your hand? I think that's fine. And then you're going to want to share your skills, your passions, and your strengths through storytelling when asking a question. And you'll see that common theme throughout this presentation. You should also prepare, I say, at least 3 questions to ask the employer or the interviewers at the end of the interview. And some questions might arise as you go through. You can save them for the end, or you can ask, during if it seems like a fluid conversation. But don't just ask logistical questions like, when is the start date, or do we have, PTO, whatever. You can find that stuff out later, or it should really be on the job description. But I would instead think about, ask them good questions about their team, about the company. One general question I usually ask at the end, every time, and I take some notes during it, is what is it, why did you apply here? Like, what do you love about the company or the position you're in? And that usually, 1, gets them to talk about themselves, which everyone loves. And then 2, it just gives you a little bit of insight to the company. These people are usually honest about what's going on, or maybe some challenges. And you don't always expect challenges when you're applying to a new role. So every place does have them, but something to think about asking. So just come with those prepared. I think it's okay to bring them. I write them down. I can't remember everything, but I do have a lot of questions I usually prepare beforehand, and then I will go through them if they make sense. Also, just listen to them. Don't just rattle off the question and move on. Take a moment to respond or reflect on it, and then thank them. And I usually say thank them within 24 hours. A handwritten note is always appreciated, but especially during these times, if it's not in person, that's okay. An email is fine too, but definitely email every person that is involved in the interview. And if you do want to do thank you notes, they are a nice touch. I usually keep a stack in my car back when I was interviewing a lot. And when you guys go to apply to entry-level jobs your senior year, that might be something you want to do. And hopefully we're in better times. So that's everything for the process. And I did want to mention Glassdoor too. So Glassdoor, sometimes I recommend just to use for the company reviews. Obviously take it with a grain of salt, but they also have some good interview questions that other candidates have been asked. So that's a way you could prepare as well. So who even are you? So back to our first class, working with the assessments, personality assessments. That's one way that you're going to really figure out your skills and your strengths, and understanding what you have to offer and how you connect to the position and company is critical to the interview prep. So an example of something we call a powerful speech would be, I excelled at my academics and was invited to the 1804 Society, versus powerless speech. I was lucky enough to be invited to the 1804 Society. So we can see how that kind of sounds a little bit powerless or weaker. So you definitely want to work on how you deliver. Career advisors, we can definitely help identify when you are using a powerless speech and kind of work with you to spin that. And what we're going to do today is help you understand yourself. Let's see. I like to say we don't know what they'll ask you. We can't promise that we know every interview question that they're going to say. It's always going to be different, but we can definitely plan them out and help you if you have a specific job title you're interviewing for. And today we're going to focus on 5 common questions. Okay. So we're going to focus on how to answer these. So knowing how to answer these basic questions should really help you understand how to present yourself in interviews. The following slides are going to walk you through each question and give you a specific strategy to use. We use these questions because they elicit what you should be sharing about yourselves, and they are commonly asked. So I do have a handout. I'm going to have Vanessa bring them around, if you could. And we're going to work through these together. I will go over these 3. So one of the most common interview questions you'll get is, tell me a little bit about yourself. So the breakdown, a good breakdown to use is, where are you now? So what are you presently doing? So I'm currently in Emmanuel College, first year student studying chemistry. Where have you been? Over the last few years, I've gotten involved in, gained experience in. Where are you going? This experience has taught me, which is why I'm interested in pursuing blank. So this is the formula. You'll see it as the first one on the handout. They're coming around if you haven't gotten one yet. And I just want you to take a moment to fill in those blanks for that first one. And then we will go through it a little bit more. Did I skip my interview? Making you guys do your exercise. Okay, who still doesn't have one? Just you guys? Awesome. We'll grab one. There's extra. Are there extras back there? There's some extra pens up here if anyone needs them. I'm going to give it another minute. All right, want to talk through them? So tell me about yourself. It's usually a question many candidates struggle with. I have a lot of students usually telling me, I don't know where to start, where to end. I always kind of laugh. One student once told me where they were born. I was like, that's nice, but we don't need to know that. So we want to figure out, what exactly do they want to know? So with this formula, you should be able to answer everything that they are looking for. So here is an example. This is a lengthier one, but I think it's still, fills in all these blanks. So I am currently an Emmanuel College sophomore studying psychology. Over the last several years, I've worked as a camp counselor, babysitter, and CCD assistant teacher. Through these experiences, I've learned that I want to work closely with children in the future, and I plan to concentrate on developmental psych or psychology. I'm very interested in this internship because it not only aligns with my interests, but I have specific experience working with similar age children. And they could name that title or talk a little bit more about that. But basically, they are answering each of these things. So where are you now? What are you presently doing? Right now, I am studying. I'm currently an Emmanuel student studying psychology. And they mentioned their class year. Where have you been? So over the last several years, I've worked as, I've gotten involved in, I've gained experience in, they're mentioning those. You don't want to list your entire resume. That's super important. They're going to see your resume. They're going to see the cover letter. So pick the most important and relevant things to this position. And then where are you going? So this experience has taught me blank, which is why I'm interested in pursuing blank, connecting those dots. So now I would like you to, I know you're going to love me, grab a partner and practice what you filled in with that partner. And we're going to be doing this for all of the questions. So I will give you a moment to find someone.
I feel like everything is
Okay, it sounds like we're wrapping up a little bit. Does anyone want to share? You don't have to. Just want to see. I'll ask this with every question if you would like to. But I think that's a good example. Hopefully that helps a little bit. But you do want to keep it short and sweet and just mention these relevant positions. And that's all you really have to do. And then move to the next one. So, and if you don't have a partner, I saw these folks just like with themselves, you guys can join in groups too. It doesn't have to be just with a partner. But definitely just, I want you to practice these and make mistakes here so that when you're in the interview, you're not messing up there. So next question is, what are your strengths? So answering this question should really highlight unique skills you possess. Refer to your focused portfolio if you're unsure what to talk about. After you list the skill, you should offer an example or a story to demonstrate how you used that in the past. So we will go over an example, but I always say, like, if you're in the cover letter too, if you're going to say, I have great communication skills. Okay, great. Tell me why. I need a specific example or story. I want, the proof of it. So take a minute to draft a response, and then we'll have you practice with your partner again. All right, looks like a few of you are done. It looks like a few are still working. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about this, give the example, and then you can keep working. You did an assessment with that concrete list of skills, the focus two. Definitely use those, back up with an example or story, and the best answer is going to include both. So the skill part and that story or example. Here is an example of the strength. One of my greatest strengths is being able to connect well with young children. I once had a student at the summer camp who was having difficulty making friends. Together, we discussed the issue and came up with a plan for engaging with a specific group of children. By the end of that week, he had 2 friends and they all planned to get together that weekend. His mother thanked me and said it was the first time he had ever had friends come to his house. So they named the strength and they gave a specific story of the time at summer camp when they helped, a student or a child make some friends. So that's exactly what we want. We want that detail. I think this is a good length answer. It's not too long, it's not too short. And now I'm going to have you practice with a partner. And I know it's not fun to talk about yourselves, but try to think of something that's unique to you. Okay, we're gonna bring it back. Would anyone like to share their strength answer? All right. Okay, so on the opposite end, this is the harder question. Well, I think, what is an area of weakness you possess? So again, you really want to be honest and authentic here. Pick a true weakness. Don't try to pick a strength and turn it into a weakness. For example, we hear a lot of the time, I'm a perfectionist. That's like the most common thing I hear. And I get it, you're trying to not, throw yourself under the bus. However, we all have weaknesses and they know that. And they just want to see that you are working on it. So just to break it down a little bit more, everyone does have a weakness. The employers just want to know that you're aware of that, you're working on it, and how specifically you're doing that. So don't list the strength or skill that is central to the position you're interviewing for. So if they obviously are asking for something and you use that as a weakness, then that's not going to look great. Even if it's true, try to pick something else. Immediately, you'll want to pivot to the strategy you use to minimize your weakness. So basically flip it to a positive. Like I said, we all have it, but how are you working on it? What are you doing to, better yourself? So for example, I'm not great at public speaking, but I have been working on improving. Whenever I have a presentation for class, I make sure to outline my talking points, practice it with a friend, and video record a practice session. So their weakness was public speaking. They said the actual words, I am improving on that. And then they listed a couple of examples of how they're specifically doing that. So the presentations, practicing with friends, and recording. So I will have you practice again, and then we'll share, not practice with a partner, reflect on yourself, and then we'll share the other example, and then we'll have you practice. So try to think of one for yourself right now, and let me know if you need any help. All right, whenever you're ready, you can practice with your partner or group. Okay, would anyone like to share the weakness? Okay, that's all right. I'm just always gonna give you the chance. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. I know that one's hard. Tell me about an accomplishment that you've had. So a strong way to answer this question is to share the accomplishment and then identify what skills or strengths were used during this accomplishment. So a little bit of the opposite. So it's similar to the strengths question. You should describe a story and your strengths. And this is a question that I usually say is pretty genuine. It really is just kind of getting to know you a little bit better and show your passion or something you're proud of. And it doesn't have to be related to work. It can be academic. It can be, you know, an interest of yours. I had a student once tell me they were did I think 25 years of dance or something like that, which is just crazy. So that was awesome to see that other side of her. So think about this. What is an accomplishment you're proud of? And then we will do an example. And then I'll have you break out in partners. All right, let's do an example. Okay, at the start of last semester, I struggled with my intro to biology course. As soon as I realized the class was going to be a lot harder than I thought, I immediately sought help from our academic resource center. At the end of the semester, I achieved an A in the course. What I learned about myself through this experience is that I'm someone who doesn't give up and is capable of finding the resources I need to achieve my goals. So they listed their accomplishment and then they gave a little story about how they were worked on that. Now I'm going to have you practice with a partner. And again, just raise your hand or Let me know if you have any questions. And we have one more. All right, what are people proud of? Any accomplishments you want to share? All right, last question. Okay, on the opposite end, tell me about a time when you failed at something. So this is a behavioral interview question. Employers really are looking to understand how you handle different situations, usually involving conflict, problem solving, and that shows kind of how you're going to react in future situations, how you've handled it in the past. You want to describe the failure and then show your growth and resiliency through this answer. So I will let you think for a moment, and then we'll do the sample. Okay. Example time. All right, so when I was a freshman in high school, I auditioned for the choir and didn't get selected. That year, I went to every show and supported my friends who were in the choir while also practicing in my free time. The next year, I tried again and was selected. I'm someone who doesn't give up when I'm knocked down. I get back up and keep pursuing my goals. So even though talking about a failure could be a negative thing, this person spun it to a positive, and was honest and said, I didn't get selected, but I just kept practicing. I didn't give up. Here's what I did specifically, and that was their answer. So I'm gonna have you practice with your partner now. Okay, it sounds like we're quieting down. All right, I heard some good ones. Last time, last chance. Does anyone want to share? All right, thank you guys so much for those of you who did it. I really hope this helps you. And now that you have it all written down, even just if you didn't participate, hopefully it will help you in the future. This is something I want you to practice, improve them, and you'll most likely be asked these questions in interviews going forward. We're not done yet, but you can put them away. I do want to talk about some interview don'ts. And I have a short video. Pray for me that this works. You know what? I just want to turn it up. Okay. Before I show this, I do want to say I did watch this, and the video shows a few funny mistakes that are made during interviews, and it's from popular movies. But I did notice a few outdated and kind of problematic comments in this video, so I do want to apologize and just make you aware of that. And that's something that we're going to work on for the next section that we teach. I would like you to write down every mistake that you hear or see, and then we'll chat about that.
No jobs for manager, it's just for counter.
Good. I'm looking for the least possible amount of responsibility.
Yeah, Mr. Keener is ready for your interview.
Actually, we'll be interviewing as a team.
We don't learn this together. Now, like, because the general idea rather than details, like people get all hung up on details. Like, which school did I go to? How many openings did I get? Could be like 6. You get none. It's not important. What is important is that I am, yes?
Do you have any special skills?
Oh, yes, I do. I do voices.
What are your skills, girls?
Oh, we can dance. You mean like dancing? We're really good dancers.
Yeah. We come to this planet looking for intelligent life. Oops, we made a mistake.
We're happy to be in America. So that's for a green card.
You're in the last one. Mr. Masu, Isu,
Matsu, Moto. Mark, can I call you Mark?
No, you may not.
Okay, human resources lady.
It's actually, it's Pam.
I'm sorry. Well, Pam,
No, my name is Pam.
were you saying Pam or Pam?
I'm saying Pam. Yeah, I'm sorry, who's this gentleman sitting behind you?
Hello, Ms. Lady. I have fast food experience.
Yeah, like 20 years ago.
Do you have any experience?
No, sir, I have no experience, but I'm a big fan of money. I like it. I use it. I have a little. I keep it in a jar on top of my refrigerator. I'd like to put more in that jar. That's where you come in.
We're not generally comfortable in an office setting, I would say.
I get cooped up.
Not so task oriented. I'm not a workhorse.
I also get headaches with computers, so I can't be around them for too long.
I take stuff.
If you're looking for a Clydesdale, I'm probably not. You're man.
For slow learners, we're not particularly good listeners. That'll be a huge problem.
We're also slow learners.
What's your policy on Columbus Day? We work.
Really? You guys discovered the new world.
Nobody in this town works without a Britannia, guys. You think you can find somebody who does and say you have my blessing. But I think we all know that person's not going to represent you as well as I can.
Well, our offer is $84,000 a year.
Let's do this. You guys are hired. You're in. Unless you're like the weirdest guys ever and I don't see it.
Great. I thank you for your time.
Actually, sir, I really need this job to impress a girl.
Will you leave now, please?
Please leave this office. We're done with this interview.
Do we get any sort of souvenir?
Get out of my office!
Hey, we tried, right? Resume.
All right, thank you for watching that with me. So, what were some of the mistakes we saw? You can shout them out, you can raise your hand. They did great. That's exactly what we should do. Yes. Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. A little. Exactly what I wrote down. A little too confident, and then lacking at exactly what they're asking for. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Talking about money in probably the first interview. Exactly. What else? Yeah. A lot of movement, like, yeah, gestures. Yep. Yep. Awesome. Anyone else? Yeah, exactly what you're saying. So I noticed talking way too fast, you can't understand. No skills, the wrong skills or outdated skills. They pronounced names wrong or didn't take the time to learn the names. Talking about any negative qualities or weaknesses that they have, being too nervous or too cocky, asking about time off or talking about the salary or money. And then let's see. Yeah, that was everything I noticed. I'm sure there's more. It is depicted as outrageous in the movies, but these are demonstrating some common mistakes that we do see candidates make. So, for example, the clip with Will Ferrell, he arrives to the interview with his twin. In reality, sometimes people do bring a spouse or a parent, a friend, and they're in the waiting room. Just don't do that. So thank you for watching, and I do have one other short video. So we'll talk about some other common mistakes, but this one.
For $1, name a woman.
Name a woman?
Yeah.
Who?
Name a woman.
Name a woman?
Yeah.
Um,
Yoga bag. Name a woman.
sorry.
No, name a woman.
Name a woman.
Yes, go.
Any?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is so hard.
Name a woman. Name a woman. Name a woman. No.
So pretty, you would think a simple question, but because she wasn't prepared, she's on the spot, or they don't know how to answer the question, or if nothing's coming to them. So you can see Billy on the street runs up and asks the individual to name a woman, but they're so caught off guard, it just becomes impossible. We all make mistakes. You might freeze up in an interview. That is the point of this. But we want to go over these common mistakes and just be aware of them, try to avoid them, but we understand some things happen. So obviously lack of preparation, no research on the company ahead of time is going to make you feel a little bit less confident, and it might have you freeze up. If you don't fully understand the job or what they're asking for, asking questions that could have been answered with the basic research or just by reading that job description, or not asking questions at all. Focusing a little too much on how the job or internship is going to benefit you, which I understand that's something natural. You're interviewing, you're trying to figure out what's going to be a good fit for you, but you definitely want to show them how you're going to benefit their company. And I think it's kind of a given on what's going to benefit you. You can always say, can you remind me of that question? Or can you repeat that? Or that's a great question. Can I just have a minute to think about it? It's totally okay to do that. I didn't learn that until late in the game, and it could have really helped. So it's something to think about. So hopefully that helps just make you a little bit aware of what not to do. And this is on your handout, but just remember to do your research, dress appropriately, get there on time, have copies of any documents, could be a portfolio, resume, references, cover letter. I myself forgot references, especially with all these changes. I used to interview in person a lot. I stopped that, and now I had recently gone to the interview and I didn't have my reference sheet, and I was just like, whoa, like I usually always bring my stuff. So that's something to remember. Definitely bring extra copies. You never know if they'll ask. And then try to be authentic when you're answering these questions, have questions prepared, and send that thank you. We can definitely try to prep you if you, hopefully this helped, but if you're stuck or couldn't come up with something, come see your career advisor, and we can work through it together. We focus on common questions today, but these are just some other things to remember. So I do want to talk a little bit about the homework assignment. So you will see, if you haven't looked already, we're going to do a practice mock interview, and I wanted to talk a little bit about one-way interviewing, because you're basically going to be recording yourself, which is one-way interviewing allows the employer to send you like a pre-recorded interview questions, and then you can record and submit them on your own time. Sometimes they will give you like a second chance to do over, but other times they won't. So I would just really go in there prepared. It is becoming more common to do one-way interviewing. And it is a little weird, sometimes you're just staring at a screen and you're answering and no one's there. But it could also be to your advantage. Definitely consider your outfit, your background, computer placement, and lighting, just like a normal interview. And then I do want to go over the details a little bit. So you do need a webcam and a microphone to complete the assignment. If you don't have access to that, come speak to us. We do have like an interview room you can use too, or one of our offices. Read the assignment in EC Learn, set up an account with the link that's posted there, and it's called Interview Stream or Big Interview. You're going to use a code to access the interview. You should not have to subscribe or anything like that. So if you are, that's the wrong link. But I updated it yesterday, so it should be good. And you're going to review, take the interview, review it, and then use the tracker to count your filler words. So, or if, whatever else you put in there, like things like that. And then complete the self-assessment under your interview and answer the 4 questions in the assignment. I'm the only person who's going to see this interview unless other career advisors are helping grade, but that's it. It's not going to peers or anything like that. And then next week, we do have some recruiters coming. These are just some of the recruiters that will be joining us for a guest panel. So most of them are hiring managers or recruiters, and they're gonna share their perspective on that. So one of the other homework assignments in there is to submit some questions about either the recruiting process, interviewing, or advice on becoming a successful intern. I do have some questions I might ask too, but definitely submit those. And to please do that before the next meeting. And then lastly, look out for a message. I will send you all the panelists. We teach several different sections of this course at different times. So you're welcome to come to all of them if you'd like, but you don't have to do that at all if you don't want, but you do have to attend one because of your attendance. So if you want to come to the normal class, that's fine. But if you wanted to check out some of the other people that are speaking, some of them will repeat, but others will be new. So I will send all that information probably today, tomorrow, or next week when we get closer, in case there's any changes. And I think that's all I have. I do have one last quiz that we will do in this class.